Daenerys Targaryen is, without a doubt, the greatest character in Game of Thrones. In this video, I want to discuss several moments that made me decide that she was my favorite. Now, this video is mostly going to be focused on her arc throughout the entire television series, not so much from the books. Now, before we get started, please slap a like on this video, as the like goal is going to be 420. Also, make sure you're subscribed, and then this is the most important part. Make sure you have your notifications turned on, so that way you get alerted every single time I drop a video. Long night! Now, first up is the fact that Daenerys is who she is. She wasn't adapted or retrofitted or sort of changed to a race or gender for the times. She's just a product of quality writing. Sometimes in this day and age, women are given roles that were initially went to a man or just something of that aspect, and then the storyline sort of changes to evolve around this new female character. Well, Daenerys, or Emilia Clarke portraying Daenerys, I should add, is just a strong female. For the most part, it seems like George and Dan and Dave all get the idea of what to do with the female character, and sometimes that's kind of hard to do when you're writing from a male's perspective. Usually women characters, whether it's in television, film, or novels, they get typecast by either being promiscuous or deceitful and lying and manipulating and pulling strings behind the scenes. And while every other character on Game of Thrones seems to do that, male or female, Daenerys, just like Jon Snow, doesn't really do that. She doesn't play the game just like everyone else. She's not a manipulator. She doesn't go behind people's backs. She tries to put everything out there and just lets people accept it for what it is. That's extremely admirable in my book, where every other character has a silver tongue. Now, the next thing that I want to discuss that in my book makes Daenerys the best character in Game of Thrones is that she's one of the few characters in the television series that has the most evolved arc. She starts out as this helpless princess who's being forced into this marriage with basically a rapist, and you kind of wonder what's going to happen. I mean, obviously we know she's one of the main characters because we get to see her a lot on screen, but we don't really know what to expect. If you never read the books, when you're watching her on screen, you're like, holy shit, what is about to go down? How is she going to make the best of her situation? Is she going to continue to get raped, or is she going to turn her situation around and use everything to the best of her advantage? Now, it's pretty obvious that you could tell that was what was going to happen in the first season, but the way they did it was completely believable. And in my opinion, that's how you tell a good story. It doesn't matter what the rules that you set are in your universe, as long as your story abides by that and everything's believable, then that's going to make an awesome story, whether that be in television or in movies. And that's what makes Game of Thrones such an incredible story. George R. R. Martin knows how to set up storylines and have it all pay off in the end, all while fitting in within the realm of possibility that he's created. And you know, as the seasons progress, Daenerys becomes more and more powerful. She doesn't just go from 1 to 0 right away. She ends up gaining a few dragons. Then she barters one of those dragons to trade for an army, but ends up doing or playing the game a little bit, and she does so in a way where she's somewhat justified by the storyline that was laid out in front of us, with this guy being a slave master who is pure evil. And then she eventually goes on to lead a revolt and has slaves free themselves. And that's such a positive message, especially in this day and era. You know, it seems like every time you turn on the news, some country is in revolt or rising up against their oppressors. Sometimes you just gotta fight back, and Daenerys is in fact the embodiment of that. And just to sort of wrap this video up and make my final point, I want to say that throughout my life, I've always enjoyed a strong female lead. Whether it's Buffy the Vampire Slayer or Ultraviolet, Aeon Flux, Resident Evil, Charmed, Dark Angel, I grew up on watching those shows and movies, and every single one of them has a strong female lead. The fact that Daenerys is able to top all of those characters in my book speaks volumes, because each one of those characters that I just listed has some sort of special power or ability. Daenerys kind of does, but not really. It's sort of like she can influence fire, but it's not clearly stated, whereas most of those other individuals can just in general kick ass, and they'll beat the crap out of someone, and that's their way of solving things. Daenerys just is able to handle things a little bit differently. Now, yes, she does have 3 dragons, and that's sort of like the ultimate ability, but they're not really up to full size until like season 4, season 5, so they don't really start helping her out until then, and even then, they're not with her every single situation. She still is able to, for the most part, take care of things. At least that's how I interpret it from the show, without having to call in her dragons. And you all let me know what you think about why Daenerys is your favorite character down below in the comment section. If you all like this video, then I'll make another one for Jon Snow. Alright, and with that being said, I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you could please slap a like on this video, as the like goal is going to be 420. Also, make sure you're subscribed, and then this is the most important part. Make sure you have your notifications turned on, so that way you get alerted every single time I drop a video. Long night! what? Super special shout out to every single person watching this video, and a super special thank you to every single member of my Patreon family over on patreon.com/SirHuntsReviews. I want to thank you all again so much for watching. My name's Mark, and this has been Sir Hunts Reviews.